Micheal Pope.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are in the virtual neighborhood of Life is a Sacred Journey. I am your host, Micheal Pope, to another Friday morning at another Friday morning. Yay! Here at Life is a Sacred Journey. I want to say a couple of things before we get into a couple of topics today. I think I'm going to split it in half and we'll go over a couple of things. One, I want to just a big shout out, big shout out to all of the shelters that are sheltering animals throughout the United States. And I even know of one he's in Turkey, where they have a lot of dogs, but cats and other animals that are either abandoned or just not cared for by whatever entity that they are that had them or was responsible for them. So just a big shout out to those volunteers and those amazing foster parents and for the hard work. And the other is to the no-kill shelters that are busting at the seams right now. And they need people to foster, and they need people to make a forever home, not temporary, unless you're going to be a foster, which is a different situation. But if you're going to adopt a pup, a cat, a bunny, or whatever, realize it's for the life of that animal. It's not something that you should take lightly. And yes, your heart's going to break when they pass and all of that. But at the end of the day, when you take it on, you take it on as a life investment. This is a life that you're responsible for. And so many times we take on a pet thinking we're going to be okay with it. And we have to think about the long term. Alpha lived for 14 years. So that was a long time. And Daisy's not far behind him. She's now 8 years old, almost 9. So, let's understand that when we take on loving, caring, and being loved and cared for by any pet, because it's a wonderful exchange of, oh man, amazement. Know that you're doing it for the lifetime of the pet. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right. So I have to share this with you because I've been busting. Thursday has become the happiest day of my life. It is a day that that I'm off from work, any work. I'm slowly but surely getting things off Thursday and just scheduling this, and it's to spend time with my granddaughter. But the added benefit is that my son works from home, and so I get an opportunity to chat with him throughout the day. So the other thing that I want to share with you is that I made a commitment in 2023 that I was going to be more present for my family, for everybody, and it started with them. And so I'm just happy to say that the board and everybody here at ASEB has been really supportive of that action. And I'm just looking every Thursday. I'm just so excited. And so if you are someone that can go out and take a special day that you can spend with a family member or someone else, they don't even have to be a family member, but just exchanging and having special moments with another person is just the most life-affirming thing that could ever happen. So again, you have joined us at Life is a Sacred Journey, and this is one of my ponderings. I think it's pondering number 69, something like that. Real wow, we'll have to celebrate at 70 or something. But one of the things that I did yesterday as I was during nap time was I was thinking about the word happy. happy, joy. We've talked about the differences between joy and happiness, and because there is a difference between the two. We get them confused in their meaning and how we manifest them in our lives, just because we just do, and we interchange words, but they don't always mean the same thing or don't evoke the same emotional feelings. So I went to look and I found out, and you can do this too, but I learned, and I think I knew this already, that Finland is one of the happiest places on earth. Happiest place on earth. So I said, okay, that's interesting. Let's find out why. Let's go dig a little deeper and find out why. So this is the reason why, is they have a strong sense of community and relatedness. So there's a strong community presence. And we'll talk more about the system support family mightily, so that parents can have more time with their children, with their family, with their elders. So their family activities and things encompass every member of the family. And you see more extended families living closer together, where they can have, pop-up dinners and things like that all the time. And many of them actually eat together on a regular basis, meaning at least once, twice, 3 times a week, if not more, if not every night. Or and actually I was looking to see, because I know in my culture, it was Sunday dinners, like that movie Soul Food. That's definitely my family, right? So I was looking to see if that was the same experience. No, it's really, they live physically close so that they can do it on a more regular basis. And it's impromptu. So sometimes it's not even planned. It's just somebody popped over, and the next thing you know, it's dinner time and everybody starts cooking. So a strong sense of community and relatedness with each other. And then the community around them, because many generations live in the same communities, then there's a relatedness to the village, to the town, to the area, the district in which they live. So a strong sense of community and relatedness. And that's not to say we couldn't do that in our own communities and neighborhoods. The other is doing good deeds for other people. So in Finland, it is a practice, a nationwide practice, to do an act of kindness. A-OK, that's my new thing now. A-OK, A-OK. Isn't that interesting? Act of kindness. So make sure that you're doing something, because what the research showed was that individuals who do it or perform, say it that way, not from acting or that place, but from a place of doing action, perform acts of kindness on a regular basis, actually have longevity of life, are happier, are people who have a better cognitive spirit. Doesn't mean that they may not get a diagnosis of Alzheimer's or other forms of dementia, but the reality is their brain has more elasticity to it. And so therefore, we're finding that does help, right? All these things just are the added formula to longevity as well. So we're looking at it from that perspective, doing a good deed for other people. And then the other side was that they do experience self-love and self-care. That is something that is grained into the society, where self-care and engagement with others and doing other things for self also. So acts of kindness, A-OKs, and taking care of one's own self, inner self, spirit. Finding a clear purpose for oneself. So they really, their systems, their educational system, and all of their higher learning institutions are set up for people to find their purpose, not career. Do you see the difference? That's the thing that I thought was interesting. The word career wasn't really I saw it, of course, it's there, but you could see that it was all about let's nurture this person so that they can live out their purpose. And why? It's because they could see the value in individuals being the best they could be and therefore being able to contribute back to the prosperity of the country. That so it's all about that. It's not about like in some countries and some places, even in the United States of America, people can't wait to get old enough to get the heck out of Dodge. They're like, oh, I gotta get out of here. I can't wait to get out of there. I can't. And so, in that country, no, they're investing in individuals staying and being a part of the sort of ecosystem of the country, not only in the short term, but in the long term. Now, that doesn't mean they don't have challenges and issues, but because of some of these investments, meaning dollars and mind power around it, the science around what contributes to a wealthy country, a country that is stable in many, many ways, or a country that has people who are happy in the sense that they are not the crime level there is low. That's why when they do have crime, they're just very surprised about it. I did find that they did have a serial killer there at one point, but you know what? We got many. But the end of the day, Finland is one of the happiest places on earth. So then the other thing when I looked up about it is also it's about safety nets. My friend Nancy, who may be watching this morning, she understands that because of the work that she was engaged in before she retired. It's not always about identifying, well, put it this way. It is about identifying the problem, meaning unsheltered individuals, humans, partners, siblings on the planet, fellow humans. Okay. So it is about that we have this growing population of unsheltered individuals, and we need to do something mightily. Okay, is that a given? Given. So we understand that. But then we have to look deeper, like under the iceberg, so to speak, to see what safety net mechanisms failed individuals now, a whole population, a whole society of individuals that are unsheltered. What failed them? If they're veterans, what in that system failed them that made it so that they are now unsheltered? If they're single parents, what in that system made it so that they are now unsheltered? If they are elders, because this is a growing number, people over the age of 65 or 55 and up are now unsheltered. Okay, so when you look at all of those different silos of community, meaning people who make up community and how they come into certain situations, the one common denominator is now they're unsheltered. So something has to give to ensure that we fix that, right? That we fix that in a way that helps people to become and have shelter. So that's kind of the way that Finland looks at it. They're like, okay, this is a problem. For instance, when the population was growing, and it has been for a minute, they realized that daycare was an issue, and everybody works there. So there's dual income families, just like here. Okay, so they said, okay, well, if the mother, father, because the caring for children is not a gender thing, we're in this 21st century, we've changed that construct quite a bit. So if we're looking at it from the perspective of mom and dad or grandma and extended family are still working and engaging and bringing income into the family structure, then how do we support that to ensure that these individuals can do that? Because the one thing is the taxes are high. The taxes are much higher than what we they were higher. And that's because they invest in the daycare, in the school. When somebody goes on maternity leave, they invest in those kinds of things. People don't take up as much space as well. That was the other thing I noticed, is that the housing in the cities is not this, oh, let's have this big old house. And now if you live on the outskirts and you have a farm, or there's different things going on from the perspective of how you live, then they have homes, but even their homes are much smaller than anything that we would find acceptable in the 21st century here in the States. We want big lavish, big large, and taking up so much earth collateral that we don't even realize we don't need it. And that's why the tiny housing craze has become one. I think it's a phenomenal idea to support individuals that are unsheltered, but it's also a great opportunity for folks like myself that as I age in place, I don't have to worry about caring for a place that's too big for me or the cost of something. I mean, you can build a pretty nice tiny house still between 30 and 60,000. If you want to put a little bit more into it, then it's really fabulous. And knowing and having been there with one and sold it and all of that, they're also a great investment. So all of those kinds of things, but you also have to have a foundation to start from. And I think this is why the country, Finland, has created these safety nets that will support families and support their citizens, so that it's kind of like no man left behind, no person, no woman, no child, no they, nothing left behind. So they have a very, and this is the other thing that I thought was interesting that I wrote, is that when you have all those things, it doesn't mean that they don't have tragedy or that their economy doesn't go helter-skelter, but what it means is they're more resilient. You can be more resilient if you lose your job for a 4-week period if you have a savings account. That's a no-brainer. You can even be more resilient if you have a savings account and a 401k and some, or a 403b or some other investments that if push come to shove, even if you're robbing from yourself down the road, you can take care of the immediate position that you're in. Some even, let's take it a step further, have a home that you own so you can take equity out of your home to support certain things. Okay, now we done added, I think, 4 things now, friends. So just imagine, let's take away the home. You don't own a home. You don't own any property, you rent. So you're at the mercy of a landlord that decides what the level of the rent. Now we have some caps, but if your income doesn't grow in the way of the cap, you begin to lose money because your rent is eating up more of your income. So let's take off the house. So you don't get a tax write-off for the house. You're not able to go to the bank and borrow against it. You rent. Okay. So you're at the mercy of a growing income, a growing expense as well. So, okay, that happens. Oh boy, now we've gotten sick. And let's talk about Alzheimer's and dementia, which is one of the most expensive disease diagnosis that you want to even, it's expensive because you definitely need to participate in some sort of caregiving system whether it be daycare programs, adult day health care programs, community-based programs that are respite programs, or assisted living, board and care, or something if you're not able to provide hands-on personal care yourself, or with family members, support, community, church, all of those things collectively coming together. Okay, so now we now have a diagnosis and we're renters. Now I'm paying and having to take some of the money that now, and we're over the age of 65, and we're really just living off of a little bit of money that we were able to save, just a little bit. And oh yeah, and he has a pension from being a postal service person, but she does not, because she came from an era where, and we still don't pay women equal to men, but she really wasn't paid what she was worth. Now she has the dementia, and he's trying to navigate everything. They rent, so they don't own a home that they can pull equity from, and they never had any children, and they're not really close to their family across the United States. And boom, they run out of money. Stuff happens. One thing after another happens, and the next thing you know, they're unsheltered. This is not a story that I just made up. This is a family of people that I met on the streets of Oakland. And they're not from Oakland. They've just ended up there on this particular night. They have a car, so they live out of their car, and they have the ability to move around. They have a post office box that they've been able to hold on to, so their Social Security goes to them. But it's not enough. Because now to get into senior housing, I found this out because I was going to put myself on the waiting list, and because of my income, and I'm working, I'm lower down on the queue for senior housing, and of course I would still have to pay more than folks that are retired or whatever, because I'm still working, but it would be much less than what I'm paying to rent a house. So those are the kinds of things that you have to think about. And you can imagine, if you don't have a solid place to do all that incredible thinking about what your life is going to be like as an elder, if you are unsheltered or you are caring for someone with dementia, that you can't pay for a case manager, and the list just goes on. So Finland has created systems within their political system, within their structures, to prevent some of that from happening. And if it does happening, that there's support that can be given in a very equal way. And so that is why Finland is one of the happiest places on earth. So it takes a strong sense of purpose. It takes being in community. It takes doing good deeds for others, acts of kindness, AOKs. And also it takes systems, safety net, government systems, because that's what they are, but they are fueled through tax dollars. Not saying that that's what we should do, but it's something to ponder. That's why we call these Michelle Pope's Ponderings, that we need to ponder different systems and not just say, oh, we would never do that, or that's too expensive. And sometimes it's worth the try, to see if there's something that we could do better. Because it would be really cool if one day I found that the US was the happiest place on earth. Wouldn't that be cool? All right, that's my pondering about that. I also found a very good friend of mine wrote a book, and I haven't spoken to Nader Shabahagi for, I think, almost a decade now. Yeah, it's been a long time. But he wrote a book called Elders Today, Opportunities of a Lifetime. And I loved it because there are things in here that I wanted to share with you, that he wrote about, and the things that we talk a lot about on Life is a Sacred Journey. And I just want to remind you of them as you go forward. So the many gifts of forgetting. So we talk about forgetting, memory loss, dementia, Alzheimer's, and we do speak about its decay of the snapshots of a person's life. But we also want to be understanding that forgetting puts us in, meaning that acts of kindness, right? AOKs, the person who loves the other person, it allows us to be present with what we feel inside. We were just talking about it here around the round table, about how important it is to be present with each of the participants in the program. And it even if we're not talking about participants in the program, your loved one that you might be caring for, your friend, your son, your daughter, your partner, your neighbor down the road. Being present means leaning into the possibility of your time being taken a little bit, maybe somebody talking about a topic that you really have no desire to talk about, but yet that moment in time, that space and time that you share and the giving of your heart is so amazing. And so being able to do that means you manifest not only in yourself a great sense of happiness and joy, going back to Finland, but you also create this moment for the other person. And then I love these ideas that he wrote. He said, instead of drifting minds, forgetting can allow us to be here and now. And he's speaking from the perspective of the other person, that they're present. So we got to slow down and be present with them. I just said it. Instead of being speedy, even frantic and chaotic, we got to take it down and to be still. During the Lenten season, as a believer, that's one of the things that I'm doing. I'm finding time for peace. I lost one of my phones, and the new one hasn't come yet, and so I realized, oh my gosh, it's crazy. I had a lot of numbers in that, and I have no way of contacting those people. And they are people who I care about. I mean, I even have WhatsApp stuff that I'm going to have to revisit and figure out how to do it. But at the end of the day, what I realized that has given me, and I'm not saying that I don't want to reconnect with any of those individuals. So, because I know how people go, people, you hear things and then you always go to the negative side of the doom and the gloom. It's like, no, it's like, I'm reminded, I just watched Star Wars this last weekend, the marathon on Sunday night. And it's just like Yoda, you want to go, what? That's not what I said. I said, it's kind of nice to not be tied, because it's the work phone that I lost. And it has, it's turned off. So it's no good anymore. But yeah, it's kind of like, I never would have cleaned it out. I'm sure there's numbers in there that are you know what I mean? Stuff like that. The clutter of our lives, the noise of our lives that eat up so much time and take away. So that frantic, chaotic life that we sometimes live, that I sometimes fall into, we got to find space to be still and allow ourselves to be still and know that being still is okay. There's a book out called Rest is Resistance, or Resistance is Rest. Rest, be a resistant. Instead of being burdened by every day, forgetting can allow us to be less preoccupied with agendas and preconceptions and goals. Because again, as a care partner, as a caregiver, as a care friend, it is the expectations that you have of the other individual, what they can and cannot do, what they can share, and all of that. They have to go silent, and you have to be a receiver now. Receive what that person can give without any expectation on it, because at the end of the day, that expectation puts them in a position that they might fail. They could fail. They will fail at some point. And so making it easy for them to be able to to survive in a world that's constantly changing for them, and keeping the portals of communication open. I also love this. Friedrich Nietzsche wrote this about unfashionable observations. Listen to this. But in the case of the smallest and the greatest happiness, it is always just one thing alone that makes happiness happiness. The ability to forget, or expressed in more scholarly fashion, the capacity to feel historically over the entire course of its duration. Anyone who cannot forget the past and set himself down on the threshold of the moment, anyone who cannot stand without dizziness or fear on one single point like a victory goddess will never know what happiness is. Worse, he will never do anything that makes others happy. And what Nietzsche is talking about is letting go of a past that may restrict you from the present or the future. That's it. And you have to, and the forgetting he's talking about is the forgetting of the emotional reaction to it. That's what he's referring to, is that emotional reaction. So it's important that you understand that there's these emotional reactions to things that forgetting sometimes really helps us to be able to move forward, right? And you find that in trauma therapy, that sometimes in the moment you got to forget, you got to put yourself in a place where it's not like forefront in your vision, or you'd be paralyzed. You wouldn't even be able to move forward. So all of those things are so important as we're thinking about life and its journey, its sacredness. So Finland, one of the happiest places on earth. I told you how they got there. So ponder those steps, those little baby steps. Maybe there's something we can do in our community, our neighborhood, or wherever we're gathering people together and make those places, the happiest moments for someone. We try to do that here at Alzheimer's Services of the East Bay. And then on forgetting and understanding that happiness is a state of being. Right? It's a state of being. And if we apply the same principles, the happiness principles over dementia, meaning blanket it over from the care partner, caregiver, care friend, care family perspective, it's to remember that this individual may not remember some of the greatest moments of your relationship with them, but still being present in the moment, not feeling burdened by the everyday things going on around you, being present, not being burdened by the fact that they could not remember something that, oh my gosh, you just wanted them to remember, and you keep saying, can you remember? Don't you remember? No, it's moving on, understanding and the moving on, that you're not forgetting the legacy of the love, the legacy of the friendship, but that you're moving on to a new paradigm with this individual. And I think Nader in this book gets it pretty good. And I'm going to read this last to you and then we'll close. This is from Tao. 30 spokes meet in a hub. Where the wheel isn't is where it is useful. Hollowed out, clay makes a pot. Where the pot is not is where it's useful. Cut doors and windows to make a room. Where the room isn't, there is room for you. So the profit in what is in the use of what isn't. Ponder that. Life is good, you guys. It does have its moments. It's whoop, 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 up and down, all around. But, I'm going to tell you something that happened to me yesterday. I had to return to Amazon, something I bought from Amazon. And after I got it, I didn't like it. So it was been in my trunk, and I decided, oh yeah, the UPS store's open. I'm going to drop it off now. So it was one of those things where you needed to print the label. Well, the UPS store was great, by the way. The one, shout out UPS store on Treat Boulevard. And she had to print the label. I paid her the money for it. But, and this is not a jab at anybody, so don't take it that way. But I know when I walked into the UPS store, the vibration that I got was one that it had nothing to do with race or anything like that, but it was at the end of the day, and you could feel this little bit of tension. And I thought, okay. And again, I told you Thursday's my happiest day of the week, right? So yeah, totally. So I'm happy. I just left my grandmother gig. I'm like, hee hee hee. And I'm like giddy. And I walk in there and I realize no one else is giddy. So how do you bring your giddiness in there so you don't drive people crazy? So this is what I did. I said, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. And because they said, well, how can we help you? And then I just kept talking. And I just kept saying, oh man, thank you so much for your help. And oh my goodness, I know it's the end of the day and I just appreciate that you guys are here. You're going to become my favorite spot. The air and the everything lifted. It got lighter and lighter and lighter. And we started jabbing about raising kids. We started talking about our names. Yes, it took a little bit more energy for me to do that. Kind of took away from how I was feeling when I walked in the door. But at the end of the day, we have a responsibility to be the change that we want to see in the world. And we can't get stuck by other people's desire to determine how you express who you are. And you can change the world. So have a USPS store moment in your life sometime over the next whenever. Just have one. Change the environment. Don't get caught up in it. Don't get caught up in it, but change it by the way you react to it. All right, good friends. It is Friday. I'm exhausted. It's been a busy, busy week because it's been a short week. And whenever we have short weeks, I always feel like I'm chasing Monday, right? But anyway, have a great weekend. Enjoy your weekend. Go out and talk to somebody, be with some friends of yours, or, call somebody up. I'm definitely gonna have a long conversation with someone that I love who reached out to me this week. And go out, pet a dog, again, I love dogs. But you know what? I want to also, was talking to a friend and colleague. I love cats. I'm just allergic to them. That's the only problem is that I've lived with a couple of cats in my life and love them. But because I'm an asthmatic, I suffered in having them around me. I get real wheezy and stuff. But at the end of the day, they are beautiful creations because I love their independence. I love the way that they can navigate a space. So I love cats too. So if you are a cat lover, pet your cat. And if you're a pet, don't have one, go to a shelter and pet a cat or a dog or a bunny. Shout out to my friend April who lost her bunny this week. And to all of you that are grieving the loss of a pet, this was the anniversary, second year anniversary of Alpha's passing on the 19th. And so had a little melancholy, but also a lot of joy. And those of you who are Facebook friends saw the video that I enjoyed making, the reel. It's called a reel. All right, friends. So go out and hug that tree, pet a cat, pet a dog, pet a animal, be loving, and go out there and do some A-OKs, okay? And if you are someone out there that is feeling sad, having a moment where you're having anxiety, depression, please pick up a phone, grab a phone, go somewhere and ask somebody to dial or text 988 for you. There will people that will be there to chat with you. This is also if you're just having a crisis. I was in a parking lot one day and a gentleman came up to me. He was a veteran and he was having a crisis, and I called 988 first to find out what the veteran's crisis number was. They patched him through. He and I stood there as he told them what they needed, he needed, and I stayed with him until they came to help him out. A van showed up in about 25, 30 minutes and helped him go and get the support that he needed, the help that he needed at the time that he needed it. So 988. Also, I think I told you this, the funding for the California Youth Crisis Line is in jeopardy. I'm going to see if I can get their executive director on just so that you can understand what this means. They are a 24/7 crisis counseling line. It's anonymous, safe, confidential, and they connect services for youth and families, emancipated youth, and foster, as well as youth and families. So it's 1-800-843-5200, calyouth.org, CYCL. So if you have an extra dollar or two, pop it over to them, go to their website and help them out, and we'll get them on to talk about the services that they're providing throughout the state and these wonderful advocacy groups that they're training the next level of advocates in the state of California. So have a great weekend. Take care of yourself. Get some rest. Drink water, but be good to yourself. It's all about being the change you want to see in the world. Peace.